Hi, welcome to SBR Sports Picks. I'm Peter Loshak. Today is Friday afternoon, December 1st, and this is the Into the Weekend with BetDSI show for Week 13 in the NFL. Of course, we talk with Brent, the headlines manager at DSI Sportsbook, about the notable betting action that he's taken in college and NFL every week. Very interesting and often very valuable information that Brent provides us with. Brent, thanks for being back with us one more time here in NFL Week 13. First game I want to ask about, of course, is Philly against Seattle, right? Eagles just dominating game in and game out. 8 straight covers now, going for a 9th straight cover. Seattle obviously been slumping recently despite a win and cover last week. I'm assuming that the public has got to be all over the Eagles here. The line has gotten bet up. It opened around 3.5. It got up to about 5.5. A little bit of market buyback I think I saw at 5.5. Now it's down to 5 at a lot of places. But I have to be assuming that the public is starting to pile on Philly every week, right?
Yeah, I mean, they've been piling on Philadelphia for quite a while now. And it's interesting, like we do talk about Seattle, how it's kind of like, the slumping team, and they're just not, don't seem to be the same kind of team as they used to be. But I mean, they're sitting here at 7-4. They're one game behind the Rams for the division lead, and they beat the Rams already earlier this season. It's kind of like, maybe they're not such a bad team after all. I mean, obviously this is a big game for them, and they got a game against the Rams coming up as well. But I mean, if you look past this game here, you've got Jacksonville, the Rams, Dallas, and Arizona. So Seattle, I mean, I don't know, kind of sneaky. Like they're not getting all the attention, I guess, that they used to. But they still seem like a decent team, I think. And 7-4 is, not too bad. But yeah, obviously the Eagles are one of those teams that are, for weeks now they've just been getting a ton of one-way action for us, and it's no different this week as well. I do have a wager count, no surprise at all, that favors the Eagles. I'm looking at a count right now of, it's only about 2-1, so it's not crazy one-sided. And this line did go. I mean, it opened like 3.5, and got bet up. Like yesterday, I was at 6. I was like at 6.15. And as you alluded to, this has kind of dropped down market wide. There are still some 5.5s out there, and a lot of 5s across the board. So I'm sitting at 5 as well myself. And we talked about this game here in the office. It just kind of like seemed like one of those sneaky teams that, at 6, there's got to be a point there where that people are going to jump, or sharp guys are going to jump on Seattle. Now that didn't happen here, but I just get the feeling that somewhere in the market, that's what happened, where sharp action did come on Seattle. Now again, it didn't happen here, so I can't say it's a sharp play per se. But the wager count being what it is, and the line dropping here, I think probably most other books are in the same situation, in that their public customers are all over the Eagles. So the other thing to drive that number down would be sharp action the other way. Now, as I said, I didn't take action on Seattle here, but I am down at 5 from the 6. And as you alluded to, yeah, I got one-way action, all the way on Philadelphia. So I got a strong split there, not a sharp public split because I didn't take action the other way, but definitely public action all over the Eagles.
Okay. All right. And then the next thing I want to ask you about is the Pats-Buffalo. We know that the public loves to bet the Pats week in and week out. So when the Pats are going 50-50 ATS, that's a good thing for you guys. When the Pats are clearly overvalued, that's a great thing for you guys. When the Pats have covered 5 in a row, as they have in their past 5 weeks, that's not a great thing for you guys. And this week, they are a huge favorite against Buffalo. And of course, the Buffalo, had a win and cover last week against reeling KC. But before that, they had lost 3 in a row ATS by big margins. So this one has public all over the Pats written all over it, and public huge on Pats in every single teaser written all over it as well. Right, Brent?
Yeah, I think though, I mean, if you look at the Buffalo run, I mean, that game against the Chargers, you should kind of like put an asterisk by that or something, or just take that one off the board. I mean, I don't know, like, I'm not one to, throw guys under the bus, but when they started Peterman there and he goes half a game and throws 6 balls to his team and 5 balls to the other team, you're not giving yourself a whole lot of a chance to win. So Buffalo, you're sitting at 6-5, right? I mean, this is it could be one of those situations where it really is a big game for them, because I mean, the difference between 6-6 and 7-5 at this point in the season is pretty big. But yeah, obviously I've always got counts favoring New England. I've got a wager count this week, almost 8-1 favoring New England. So I mean, the fact that they're on the road and laying almost double digits. I mean, I've got the -9 right here. There are some places at 8.5. I've seen even like -9 dog 15, but I'm not 9 flat, and I'm taking nothing but New England money here. So this seems to me like another one, like talked about Seattle. Where the next game too is going to be one of those where it just seems like one of those spots that kind of sets up where the sharps at some point are going to jump in on Buffalo. Now, are they going to? I don't know. I can't I can't predict the future, but for sure, this game here. I mean, if you see it drop from 9 down to down to something like 7.5, I mean, that's definitely going to be sharp action that drives it the other way. like I said, my wager count is just massive in terms of the one-way action favoring New England, which is kind of like no surprise as well. This total has dropped down a little bit as well. I've gone from 49 to 48, so just like a 1 point move on the total of this one here. But I do have a wager count almost 2-1 favoring the over. So, no surprise that I got public action on the over. And again, I didn't take sharp action here on the under, but for this number to go down, if it's not weather driven, it's got to be sharp driven somewhere.
Okay, so if we see the line go from about 9 to about 7.5, that's definitely got to be sharp action. And the next game I want to ask you about, we did see a move like that, right? The Giants against the Raiders. Of course, the Giants benched Eli Manning. Big news last week. And, the Raiders won and covered last week. But before that, they had been on a terrible ATS run. It did open at about 7.5. Some early action that I saw drove it down to 7. Then it went all the way up to 9.5. Now, though, I did see a market move back down to 7.5. So I could see this being a game where the Sharps did jump all over the Giants as soon as that line got high enough, up to a 9 or 9.5. We saw them do that against the Chiefs when there was a similar situation very recently. So is that the case? Did the Sharps come in on the Giants when that line crept up high enough?
It's pseudo sharp action, not a list guy yet, but someone who's probably going to be on the list eventually. It's really interesting with this game because if you look across the market, I'm fine sitting here at 9. I've got a wager count 2-1 favoring the Raiders, so I've got twice as many bets on the Raiders, even with the line as high as it is. And you look out there, I mean, there's some places that have 7.5 and 8 out there and stuff like that, and I'm running 9 and still getting Oakland money. So that's all. Public action going Oakland. Like I said, the only thing I've got the other way was what I'm going to say is pseudo sharp action on the +9. Just kind of a guy who we're looking at in terms of the list stuff. Now again, the Giants are making a change at quarterback and stuff like that, and there's not a whole lot to like about the Giants. I'll give you that, but I mean the Raiders. Is there really a ton to like about the Raiders? I don't know. Maybe at home stuff. I don't know. I mean, it's gonna be interesting to see how this one plays out. I was talking about this game as one of those that as well. Very much like the Buffalo game and very much like the Seattle game. It's one of those games where if you see this line drop dramatically, like down to 7.5, and like I said, there are some 7.5s out there. But if this continues to drop, it has to be sharp action that way. Because like I said, most places, when you look at the wagering profile in terms of the sharp public action that I get, when I've got public action all one way on a game or even 2-1, one way, you can pretty be sure that other books look at the same situation in terms of their wager count. So for this number to drop, if it does indeed drop, will certainly be sharp action driven. And, they just kind of feel like one of those games this week where the Giants, could be a sharp spot.
Yeah. Okay, so 3 interesting games coming up in the NFL this week. No notable list action, though, from those specifically. There's a lot of other games on the NFL card this week. What can you tell us about notable sharp action you've taken for NFL Week 13, Brent?
First off is a total I've got for you, Detroit and Baltimore. The over was sharp there. My wager count is about 2-1 favoring the over as well, so that's not a great spot for me. And sometimes we kind of sit down and look at our opening numbers and we go back and forth, and you say, the reasoning behind numbers and stuff like that. And this one, I guess we certainly could have opened this one a little bit higher. It did open at 41, and we took sharp action at the over 41. And it's a combination of, the tendency of public guys to bet the over. So yeah, you could have gone a little bit higher on that one. And if you look back at these teams in terms of how they've played like their past 4 games, I think, they've both put up, more points in the past. I mean, Baltimore has been one of those teams who's been more, defensively driven, not so much offense and stuff like that. But if you look at their last few games, they starting kind of, clicking, I guess, a little bit on offense. They put up like 40 points against Miami. I mean, no, that was Miami, but they put up 20 on the road to Tennessee, 23 against Green Bay, 23 against Houston. So, if you're looking at Baltimore putting up 23, 24 points on their own, then all of a sudden this total is like, yeah, it could have been a little bit higher. So, a 23-20 game, if a line's 3, you're looking at 43. So maybe we opened a little bit low, but I definitely did take sharp action on this one. Over 41 is where that came. And I don't know if this next game, whether it's just kind of the flavor of the week kind of thing, but, perhaps no surprise that San Francisco was sharp this week, Peter. I think you probably would kind of expect that the public would be on San Francisco, again, with the quarterback change to Garoppolo. And you're talking about a team who's 1-10 playing, going on the road against a team that's 3-8 who's lost 4 in a row. So it's not like, it's not really compelling that you can really grab one of those teams and say, wow, that's a great bet this week. I mean, they've won 4 games combined all season long, but I have a wager count of 3-1 favoring the Niners as well. So I guess the Jimmy G fever has already started in amongst the public bettors. So I've got a wager count 3-1 favoring San Francisco and sharp action on the Niners at +5. We're all the way down to 3 right now, Peter. I'm actually 3 minus 120 pretty much everyone across the board is 3 minus 120 on this one as well. So it dropped right down to 3, and I'm assuming we're going to stick on this number. I can't see it going back up over 3, and I can't see it going under 3 for sure. But it's weird in a game like this when you talk about teams as bad as they've been all season long. It's almost counterproductive to win, but obviously they're going to go out and try and win this game. The Battle of the Bays, Green Bay and Tampa Bay. Green Bay is now a 2-point favorite at home, and they were a dog at home, a 2-point dog when this line opened up, and that was sharp action that came in on Green Bay at home to Tampa Bay. Green Bay is plus 1.5 is where I took sharp action there. Interesting, Green Bay sitting at 5 and 6, and they've lost 5 of the last 6, and Tampa Bay, the 3 straight road games for them, and then they lost last week as well. So Green Bay, maybe the public is behind them a little bit as well. I've got some, my count slightly favoring Green Bay. And again, they put up a good fight last week against Pittsburgh, so you can kind of get behind that in terms of the public, but sharp action as well on Green Bay. Just one thing I kind of, I want to mention is the fact that, we kind of forget, or it's easy to forget this deep in the season, that both Tampa Bay and Miami basically didn't have bye weeks this season. So everyone's been through their bye week, and Tampa Bay and Miami missed that first game of the season because of the hurricanes. So, at some point in the season, maybe that wear and tear will weigh on them. I do notice that Miami, the same situation with this line, did open as a small favorite at home to Denver. Now Denver is a 1.5 point favorite. So it went from Miami -1 to Denver -1.5. And this game as well, Tampa Bay opened -2, and now they're a 2-point dog. So just kind of, something interesting to note. Maybe these teams will tire. You never, unless you put on the pads and get out there every week, you can't really underestimate the value of that bye week. And last game to talk about with sharp action is that team that everyone wants to go against now in terms of the sharps, and that is the Kansas City Chiefs on the road at the Jets. Sharp action on the Jets +5. So Kansas City sitting at 6-5 now after that great start. They just having a heck of a time putting up points. I think in their past 3 they've put up around 10 points. I think 17 maybe their past 3, something like that. So not a whole lot of points. They're on the road. They were a 5-point road favorite at the Jets. Sharp action came on New York +3, and I'm sitting at 3 -120 right now with Kansas City. And I do have a wager count still almost 2-1 favoring the Chiefs, so the public is still backing them even as a favorite on the road. But again, you're talking about the 4-7 Jets who've lost a couple of games in a row as well. So it's not like they're world beaters, but Jets got the sharp action this week from at +5, Peter.
Okay, so Detroit, Baltimore over 41, San Francisco +5, the Jets +5, and Green Bay +1.5. 3 interesting plays there. Brent for BetDSI, we really appreciate it. Thanks so much. We'll talk to you again next week for NFL Week 14.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to our channel. Now, we've put a lot of work into producing all these free videos, so please help us out and keep all our content free for you forever by simply liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Now, not to mention, a visit to our industry-leading website will warm the hearts of all our SBR employees, especially myself. Now, the links are over there to the left, so do check those out. Thanks for watching.